listening to Unravel with Natalie Denise.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to Nightly with Natalie. What's going on, Keem? Thank you so much for modding for me. Appreciate it. Ken, Mark, Rana, thank you so much for being here. Guys, today I didn't get to do too much media type stuff, so I didn't do a video today, but I did a lot with CTA, my nonprofit. And man, I mean, it's just amazing how little by little things can just come together, although we don't know where to start. And we've come a long way since October, November, when I first started it. I just had the right people come to me. And there's just a lot that we are getting done. And it's not yet mature enough for us to come out in the public about what we've been working on, because we, of course, want to string along the right resources and, of course, the right information before everything else comes out. So it is on its way, but believe it. All right. So also, I was having I don't know, I guess I'm just going to voice my thoughts because I've been running like a horse for all year last year, trying to change my content in a more, I guess, suitable way for, I guess, what's more suitable for the advertisers. And I've realized I really miss the original way I used to do videos. You guys remember also before I move forward, I uploaded every single one of those videos, the original videos of mine, to my Rumble account. I'm going to put the link in the chat here. So that's my Rumble account. Go subscribe to it if you are on Rumble. I uploaded all of the videos there. I'm probably going to make just like a little promotional video just saying that. But if you go look through all those videos, I miss the way I used to do content like that, where it was just very researched. I took my time. Maybe it took like a week for me to produce one video, but it was very thought out. It was very detailed, and I just miss those types of videos. So I oh, thank you. My hair looks great. I thank you. It's shower hair. I actually didn't do anything with it today, so I appreciate that. So yeah, I'm probably gonna change my main YouTube content a little bit more, just so I can express my creative juices again, because I feel like I just run and run and run and run. And although I'm good with what I'm doing, I can pick up a story and talk about it. I just miss like the research, the breakdown, like the digs. I miss that kind of work. So I think I'm gonna start focusing on that. The best memes. I still do good memes. They're on Instagram though. So yeah, I'm gonna focus more on that and kind of change the pace a little bit. And also, again, I've been tiring myself out. I mean, it's like video, and then research for the podcast, and then go to sleep 2 o'clock in the morning. And it's just like, I don't think, like, I was kind of reflecting on it. I don't think that God wants that sort of schedule for my life, if you know what I mean. Like, I think every person deserves a balance. They deserve like a way for you to like decompress and for you to kind of output your energies and all that. So with that being said, I am going to reevaluate my content, and I will be coming out with a Jean-Luc Brunel video possibly tomorrow. Yeah. So anyway, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to start off with scripture, as we have been doing here. And we left off, I believe, at Psalm 10. Is that right? We've already gone through 8. We've already gone through 9. Is that right? Am I correct? Yeah. So now we'll go through 10. All right, Psalm 10. And we're gonna go through verse 11 here, and then we'll do the rest tomorrow. By the way, I may or may not take a day off Wednesday and Thursday. So for you guys that listen to me, consistently, just know if I don't have a podcast Wednesday or Thursday, it might be that I'm taking just a little small vacay. I just really this weekend, I really felt it. I was like, man, I really feel like this need to decompress, this need to reframe and reshift everything, you know? All right, so Psalm 10. Why, Lord, do you stand far off? Why do you hide yourself in times of trouble? Uh-oh. Is this not a word for somebody? So this is saying in the first verse, Lord, I keep asking and begging and asking, and you seem to be so far away or absent. You don't answer in my timing. Where are you? Why do you hide yourself in times of trouble? Especially, those times of trouble where you're just like really, really leaning on God, and he doesn't answer for like a good second. He kind of lets you go through it, swim through it yourself. In his arrogance, the wicked man hunts down the weak, who are caught in the schemes he devises. He boasts about the cravings of his heart. He blesses the greedy and reviles the Lord. So he's talking about the wicked in this point, who are in pursuance of him, who are plotting against him, who are conspiring these evil things against him. In his pride, the wicked does not seek him. In all his thoughts, there is no room for God. His ways are always prosperous. Your laws are rejected by him. He snares at all his enemies. He says to himself, nothing will ever shake me. He swears, no one will ever do me harm. So these are like the arrogant people that come against you, right? So I think we have all experienced that, where we've got we've got all the slanderers. We've got people who think that they are not going to get away with anything. They keep going and going and going and going, and we're sitting here like, God, you're just letting them go with it. You're just letting these people get away with it, and they are just doing their worst to me. And the thing is, they're devising their own pit. He says to himself, nothing will ever shake me. He swears, no one will ever do me harm. His mouth is full of lies and threats. Trouble and evil are under his tongue. He lies in he lies in wait near the villages. From ambush, he murders the innocent. His eyes watch in secret for his victims. Like a lion in cover, he lies in wait. He lies in wait to catch the helpless. He catches the helpless and drags them off to his net. His victims are crushed. They collapse. They fall under his strength. He says to himself, God will never notice. He covers his face and never sees. So, I mean, listen, how many times have we gone through this, where so many people who are wicked, they get away with their wicked schemes in what seems to be for a long time, for a while. Let me put my hair up really quick. It seems to be that the wicked, they get away with their schemes for a while, and it seems to be that nothing ever happens to these people, and these people do the worst. I mean, they're preying on vulnerable people. They're preying on people who won't fight back. They're preying on people who have done nothing wrong. I mean, these people just really, the people in our time, even, like, they just really find any reason to attack and slander, and they will absolutely crush those that are helpless, who have no hope. And this is what the psalmist is describing here, like, God, where are you? Don't you see this? Don't you see them coming at these people, slaying them? They're helpless. They get ambushed. They're waiting in these quiet places, and then they all of a sudden ambush these people and they slay them. Where are you, God? Like, I think that this is a very important piece to kind of meditate on, because I think a lot of times we are kind of in that spot where it's like, God, don't you see these leaders? Don't you see how they're enacting powers that don't make sense? Don't you see how they're exploiting all these other people? Like, don't you see this, Lord? And the thing is, it's all in God's timing, right? It's all in God's timing, and we just really have to wait. So we're going to see the praise tomorrow, because this is really where it's like, come on, God, let's go. Let your anger come against those that slay those that are innocent. Let your anger and wrath finally show for itself. God, like, awaken, Lord. You're going to see it tomorrow. Awaken, Lord, arise, lift your hand up, oh God. Do not forget the helpless. So we will go through verse 11 through 18 tomorrow. But I mean, just 1 through 11, it just shows like how much of a parallel time we're in compared to Psalm 10. So, all right, let's pivot on. So, this is the only story I'm going to cover today, but it's quite extensive. So, I thought that this was worth the coverage. Let's take a look here. This is coming from the South China Morning Post. In China, buying trafficked women and children get less jail time than buying illegal plants or animals. The case of a woman found chained in a hut has prompted debate about child marriage and women's rights. It's continued on. If you buy illegal plants or their byproducts in China, you will be jailed for up to 7 years. Buying endangered animals could result in life imprisonment or death. But for someone found guilty of buying a trafficked woman or child, the maximum jail terms is 3 years. And if the court rules that the buyer did not abuse a trafficked person or hinder rescue efforts, they may serve less time. So then it's, really up to the state of the Chinese, and I mean, pretty much if you're indebted to the CCP, that's generals, the higher ups, maybe you have a relationship or you're related to one of them. They can pull strings very easily for these types of offenses and get these people off. Last month, a video circulating online, and I am going to pull up that article, of a middle-aged woman in a brick hut apparently kept there by her husband with the chain around her neck caused outrage across the country. Oh, let's actually pull this up right here. Chained Chinese mother puts spotlight on the country's staggering gender imbalance. Now let's just take a look if it will give it to us.
Education campaigns promote the severe fines and their additional children. The government
Okay, that doesn't show it. I don't believe that they have the video. Okay. So, a middle-aged woman in a brick hut, apparently kept there by her husband with a chain around her neck, caused outrage across the country. The woman was found in Zhuzhou, in the eastern province of Jinzhou, where authorities initially said in 1998 a marriage was legal and that she had been diagnosed with mental illness. They said the woman, who had 8 children with the man who imprisoned her, was not a trafficking victim. So this is how they are able to also get away with a lot, is through marriages. And you actually see this not just in China, but you see this also like around the Thailand region. There's a specific region that I'm thinking of though. Let me see. India. It's like around India. Is it Thailand? No, India. Map. If I see the map of India, I will be able. Here we go. India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh. It is around the. I want to say it's like around the Bangladeshi area. It's like between India and Myanmar. Around that area, a lot of times, especially around actually, let me show you guys what I'm talking about here. Give you guys a better visual aid. Excuse me. So you see how China is above India right here? Around the area of Nepal and Bangladesh, like this area, this little corridor right here in Myanmar, there's a lot of as well as over here, Pakistan. A lot of times what happens is either vice versa, around this area there's a lot of trafficking within marriages. And so a lot of times, like, if these older men are trying to get away with like a younger bride, and I'm talking about, you guys know what I'm talking about, the P word, who want younger brides, they will then traffic in, and by the law of marriage, get married. And essentially it's by legality that they can actually have that relationship with that child. So it definitely happens around like this area with China, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Pakistan, everything like within the border of China. It is very, very rampant. So that's how they're able to get away with a lot of, child marriages there. Okay, continued on. But after strong public pressure, her husband was later arrested and charged with false imprisonment, and 2 other people are facing human trafficking charges in relation to the case. The video has prompted heated debate about child marriage, women's rights, and protection of mentally ill people in China, with many experts arguing that stricter penalties for buyers would help to deter human trafficking. And you can see here, of course, this is a censored image still of this video, and I believe this is on one of the Chinese apps. It kind of looks like TikTok a little bit, but I believe it's Weibo. And this woman, she was basically she was a video shot in a hut, and you can see where the chain, you see that chain right there on the left side, that chain is attached to her neck, and it's blurred out just for graphic discretion. But this is what actually is a reality in a lot of parts of different countries that are not so much exposed on the TV. The country's decades-long one-child policy and preference for boys has resulted in massive gender imbalance in China, with millions of unmarried men seeking brides. Continued on, some families, especially in rural areas, resort to often buying orphaned or impoverished girls and raising them as brides for their sons, even though child marriage was banned in 1950. Again, this is very prevalent in those regions that I listed, the border around China, where they will like cross country or cross country lines, like cross national. They will traffic in girls and women so that way they can marry them off to the older man. Huang Zongliang, a professor at Tsinghua University's Institute of Public Safety Research in Beijing, found in an analysis of over 1,000 legal documents from 2000 to 2017 that most traffickers were men with low education levels. Most of the buyers were single men who wanted to continue their family line, according to this 2019 study. Huang found that the abducted women were mainly aged between 14 and 30, and a large proportion were mentally ill and foreign. He said that there was a trend of trafficked women migrating from the southwest to the east central of region of China. Chinese county sparks storm by a search by South China Morning Post. This publication on national law database China Judgments Online turned up around 1,700 documents related to crime of buying trafficked women or children in the decade of 2011 to last year. Those are the cases that made it to court, but many more were filed in 2019 alone. Some 4,571 cases of trafficking women and children were filed nationwide, according to the China Statistical Yearbook. That was just 1% of the criminal cases filed in 2019, and it was down 15.3% from the previous year. It compares to spikes in 2000 and 2012, when as many as 20,000 human trafficking cases were filed per year. No trafficking without demand. So this is where we're going to go into the demand section. Under China's criminal law, penalties for trafficking women and children range from 5 years to jail to life imprisonment or even death. But unlike trafficking of illegal plants or animals, where buyers and sellers face the same punishment, the penalties are much more lenient for those who buy trafficked women and children for those as well. A growing number of voices are calling for this to change, pointing out that there would not be any trafficking if there was no demand for it. Luo Zhang, a prominent professor at China University of Political Science and Law in Beijing, said the crimes of trafficking and buying humans are obviously related, but there was a clear mismatch in the maximum penalties of buyers and sellers. He says there is a serious crime and punishment imbalance, he wrote in an article posted at WeChat account this month. When the criminal code was first enacted in 1979 and did not include any penalties for buyers or of trafficked women and children. There were only added 1997 amendment, which also stated that if a buyer did not abuse a trafficked woman or child, or prevented the victim from returning to their original home, the sentence could be reduced or they could be exempted from jail time. In a 2015 amendment to the criminal code, removed from the jail exemption from those that did not abuse trafficking victim or hinder their rescue, stating instead that they would receive a mitigated sentence. In an action plan released by China's cabinet, the state council last year, authorities acknowledged the need to crack down on the buyer's market to prevent such cases. However, so far there have been no changes to the penalties for buyers. Again, I mean, this isn't really that much more different though, guys, from the United States. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's a lot much harsher in China, but for the United States, we also have very low sentences, very low convictions. Oh, that coffee's so good. Sorry, I had to take a sip. And here's the thing, also paired up with that, in the United States, the dangerous thing is that our bail reforms keep going through. They keep reforming bail in every major city, so that way these criminals can get back on our streets more easier. And a lot of those criminals are domestic assault and sexual offenders. And so this is even more problematic question for us is, is China that much more different? Are they much more worse than us? Continued on, buyers rarely punished. This is the part that I'm just kind of priming you guys. One former child bride, Ma Panyan, made headlines a few years ago when she succeeded in divorcing the man she was sold to after 15 years. Ma, now 33, said that her two sisters were put under the care of her uncle when her mother killed their abusive father and fled. In 2001, when she was 12, her uncle sold her to a man 16 years her senior for 7,001. That's about 1,100 US dollars and 250 kilograms of rice, according to her account. The government of Wushan County, Ma's hometown in the southwestern Chongqing, acknowledged the exchange in a statement, but also said that only 4,000 yuan traded hands. Ma said that year she went to live with the man who bought her, Chen Shusheng. She had called the police to report that he had raped her. A hospital examination found that her hymen was broken, but the investigation ended after her uncle told the police she was illegally married to Chen. Ma gave birth to her first child when she was just 14 and her second when she was 19. When she finally escaped and was granted a divorce in 2016, the local court refused to consider charges against Shen for raping her when she was 12 because the 10-year statute of limitations had expired. Continued on, the only person punished in relation to her case was a civil affairs official who had issued a marriage certificate without Ma's presence when she was under 18, a minimal legal age of marriage in China. She continues to say, I always feel that it was not over. I can't start over until I get an explanation, Ma said. What I want is an apology from those that have hurt me. Huang Ximin, a Wuhan-based lawyer who has handled such cases, said Ma's situation showed the difficulty of bringing those responsible for trafficking to justice. The gender equality perspective is missing in the lawmaking process, she said. Women or children are not treated as individuals equal to men, and this was not taken into account when the crime was created, so penalties for buyers were not considered. Aside from the maximum 3-year term for buying a trafficked woman or child, a buyer could also be punished for related criminal acts, including rape, injury, and false imprisonment. They say the act of rape, which is highly probable or even inevitable after the purchase, is already a felony with a very high statutory penalty. Shehel, a a professor at Peking University Law School, said that in an article last week, Shea argued in the article that posted on China's Law Review WeChat account that the penalty for trafficking victims did not need to be raised. Wuhan lawyer Huang said that lawmakers may think that a lighter punishment for a purchase could encourage buyers not to hinder rescue efforts or abuse victims, but she said that in practice this was just wistful thinking, as buyers were rarely prosecuted for related crimes like rape and false imprisonment. Human trafficking is a complex process, she said. The act of buying itself is a violation of human dignity, and the abuse and rape that follows should not be separated from the act of buying. So they say, while legal scholars and professionals say raising and penalties for buyers could be part of the solution, most agree that it's not enough. Criminal law is the last resort for social governments and solves few, if any, problems, said Luo, the Chinese University of Political Science and Law. It's an unrealistic fantasy to expect the practice of buying humans can be eradicated by increasing the penalties. Wang Feng, who is a lawyer who has also handled human trafficking cases, said amending the law was important, but more so was finding and rescuing women and children who have been trafficked. Wang said the penalty for buyers was not deterrent, and even some relatives and friends of law enforcement officers have bought wives. Exactly. So this is the point that I make in saying all of this. In China, it's much different because in China, they are connected to the CCP and higher up officials. They're able to get away with this a lot easier, especially within the low ranks of law enforcement. They're able to pull strings like it's nothing. And so, even if they were to increase penalties or they're able to, give them more sentencing, it's not going to do much. In the countryside, especially, everyone lives in a patriarchal system, she said, which law enforcement officers are willing to offend their acquaintances or relatives or friends. She said human trafficking in China has its roots in traditional culture and customs and the objectification of women who are treated as commodities. So this makes me also wonder too, within the trafficking of these Asian women into the United States, because we see that obviously at pretty much every single spa that is on the corner of everywhere. I mean, they're in by corner stores, they're by everywhere. It makes me wonder, how easy it is to do that, to get them from China or from an Asian country over to the United States, because it is essentially part of the culture. But I will not say that without negating the fact that a lot of this does happen, especially from China to the United States, by this promise of a job or this promise of a new life. A lot of times that actually happens. Huang recalls being told by the police officer not to get involved in a case involving a trafficked Southeast Asian woman. She said she appeared to be more concerned about the husband making financial losses. Human trafficking, especially women and children, is still a serious global problem that no country has eliminated, according to Feng Wan, a feminist activist and co-founder of Beijing-based NGO Equality. As long as inequality exists and the state does not do enough to act, human trafficking will continue, she said. Penalties for buyers should be examined and should be important to strengthen law enforcement, to educate and raise awareness, and to support victims and their children. Now, I'm just going to pause here for a second. I'm hoping that her definition of equality doesn't equate to the United States, the Western definition of equality, because obviously our definition has definitely transformed throughout the recent years to mean that, women need to dominate and women need to get all these positions. It should be about equal outcome. You know what I mean? It's not about equal opportunity anymore. It's about equal outcome. I think here she's genuinely meaning the true definition of equality, because in countries like China or in the Middle East, where women don't necessarily have equal rights the way men do, it's still that way. And so when it comes to the justice system in determinations of human trafficking cases, especially over there, if a man has more rights, and I'm just explaining this because, again, the definition has been lost within our American culture. over there where it's truly an equal and truly, truly not, the justice isn't bestowed equally. Women, especially who seem married or consensual, easily get trapped in that. They easily, for the man, it's easy for them to do that to them because they can just say that they're married or that's their partner. And because there's no equality in law or criminal justice there, the man is more believable. And that's just a reality in those types of countries. Penalties for buyers should be examined, and it was important to strengthen law enforcement to educate, raise awareness, and to support victims and their children. We should also focus on government responsibilities in preventing and combating trafficking and on rescuing victims, holding authorities accountable for their inaction, and providing victim-oriented support, she said. Focusing only on punishment is not the feminist way, and it neglects the basics. So, with that, I'm going to go through some of your comments here. The Only Warnley says, China has a population problem. They have 120 men per 100 women. That's right. So, because of their population control policies out in China, this is the case because they do favor boys over girls. So there are 120 men over women in ratio. So what does that mean? That means that either they are going to stay there or they're going to bring in somebody from another country, and this happens very often, especially I want to say in India. It is India and Pakistan. It happens a lot where child brides are brought into China, for these older men. But yes, that is absolutely one of the key factors here. Hey, Jeffrey, what's going on? Females have no rights in China, even newborns. Nope. That's true. They have absolutely no rights. So that's why we here in America, we keep fighting, and we keep fighting at grassroots level, and we help our domestic problem first before we see ending this for the rest of the world. So with that being said, guys, this is going to be a short podcast. I was just going to cover that. I really appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Actually, I'm actually going to pull up Jeffrey's. Human trafficking is connected to Black projects. That is where they get the money from, all the drugs and off the books. And then he says, look up Dulce Base, where they are doing New Mexico is truly horrendous and connected to the story. Oh, wow. I'm actually going to Dulce Base. I'm going to actually look that up. Dulce. So thank you for that, Jeffrey. I'm going to look that up and hope maybe, you know what? I might even do a video on that on my main YouTube. For those that just joined in a little late, I'm actually changing my, not too much, but I'm going to go back to my roots with my YouTube and do a little bit more thoughtful videos, more researched, took my time. It probably published once a week or maybe twice a week, but it was very, very meaty. I miss those videos so much, and I really miss those. So I'm probably going to do that, end up doing that. But Dulce Base, I think that's probably going to be one of my main videos. So thank you for that tidbit, Jeffrey. I'll be sure to actually shout you out in that video. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. All right, guys, I love you so much. You guys have a great night. I'll be back tomorrow. Again, just to remind you, I may or may not be here Wednesday and Thursday night because I may take a little bit of a break. So if I'm not here Wednesday and Thursday, don't panic. I will be back. I'm just taking a small break. But if I'm here, I'm here. I'll show up. But just keep that in mind. I love you guys. Thank you so much. And I will catch you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Unravel with Natalie Denise. Please give this podcast 5 stars.